Welcome back. Welcome back. So I'm in the process of character creation. I know I promised that this video will be the playthrough, and we are going to start. I did suspend the character creation for this video, and I said that I would show, what I chose. And that's what I'm going to do now. So with my first character here, I chose a high elf. So the ability of the high elf is once per battle during your turn, place any adventure in an unoccupied entrance tile hex and heal them for 3. So she's going to be able to do a little bit of healing, although I'm not making her into a healer. So she gets 4 health, 2 stamina, 4 magicka, which is why I chose her. She has the most magic of everybody. 1 combat and 2 cooldown. And so this is her token that goes with her. And so what you do is you set up a 4 health token. So you can see 4 health. She has 2 stamina, so you put this here with 2, and the arrows are pointing this way. 1 blue with 4 magicka. And then here I chose Daedric Summoning as her skill. And then her class is she's a warden. So with the Daedric Summoning, this symbol, you get this from the top here. So see this symbol right here? That is the symbol you use, and it goes here. And you get 2 level 1 dice. So both of these dice have a level on them. So see that little number 1 on the top left corner? That's how you know it's a level 1 dice. Another way you can check is the way you read these is at level 1, there's 1 die here. So see this here? This says that there's 3 pips next to it. That means 3 sides of the dice have these symbols on it. And then this here says 1 pip, right? So 1 side of the die, which is this one here at the end. So this text at the top applies to that symbol. This text at the bottom applies to that symbol. So this will happen 3 times on a die. This one's only once. So only 1 side of the die has the bottom text. And then 3 times on the die you may get this. Now you might be asking, what's those circles? Those are like the bones and too many bones. And if you're not familiar, it's a tenacity point. And you gain those tenacity points down here. And I apologize. So you get these little tokens and you put it in like so. So as you gain tenacity points, you can then spend them on things. And what do you spend them on? Well, that's why you pick a class. So this warden class, for 1 tenacity point, I can do dive and then bond with nature, and it goes all the way up to 5 with the feral guardian. Okay. So why did I choose this? And just so you know, you start with 0 tenacity. The cooldown is 2, and that's on the character card. I am choosing for her to be in magic stance, which is this. And then I am choosing for her, well, she has 0 experience points at the start. So couple of things. The first one is when you're choosing this, the color matters. And when you're trying to find the skill dice, the color is going to match, right? There's always 2 level 1 dice. In some skills, the 2 level 1s are going to be the identical dice. But in this case, as you can see here, there's only 1 Daedric Curse dice. And then there's 2 round armaments. So I could have chosen 2 round armaments. I could have chosen both of those and not the Daedric Curse. So it's a choice. I just have to pick 2 of those 3 dice. And I chose 1 of each. Okay, then the key thing, and if you read into all of them, the warden has the ability of, this symbol looks like Pac-Man, but that's a beast symbol. It's like, I guess it's crab claws or whatever. After a companion is defeated, heal yourself for 3. So this class, the warden class, for 1 tenacity point, they will summon a diving cliff racer, which is a creature. So basically this is a summoning class. And then at 5, they summon a feral guardian. Now the diving cliff racer is this dude. And then the other side of it is the feral guardian. So you can only have one or the other. You can't ever have both. And that's a limitation, right? Because it's 2 sides of the same coin. But the point, though, is that you can get these summoned, and that's a summoned creature that will help you in battle. And then, of course, I chose Daedric Summoning, which also is a summoning class. And eventually, we'll be able to summon a Clanfear, which looks like a little dinosaur, or a, what is that, an Atronak, which looks like basically an earth golem. So what I did was I took both of these chips and I just have them available. Like the earth golem one is for the Daedric Summoning. The other one, so basically she could have 2 summons once you get high enough level, etc., etc. Another important thing I didn't mention in the last video is characters are either going to be using their stamina for dice rolling or their magicka. It's one or the other. So if you're a fighter or a rogue or any of those types of classes, you're going to use your stamina. If you're a magicka person like this one is, you're going to use your magic. And the number of skill points is how many dice you can roll in one turn. So she could roll 4 dice in the magicka. And that's important to understand. Now, she does have 2 combat dice as well, because she starts with a combat of 2. And those can be useful, but the stance that you need to be in, see, like up here at the top, this is a single hand sword. This is the double sword, or the axe there. And then that's a range for bow. And then down below, you can see defense. So what that means is that dice can only be used if you're in a different stance. And you can see the stances up here. So if you're in this stance or this stance, you can use those combat dice to attack. If you're in the defensive stance, you can use those combat dice to defend yourself. So you have to switch stances if you want to do that. So when I'm rolling for the magic stance, which is this, I can't combine these dice with those dice. It's no bueno. So right now I have way more skill than I have dice. So it's sort of wasted. But the good news is, though, is when I level up, the level up cost is here. So the white numbers are for when you're going this way, and the black numbers are for when you're coming from that way. So if I want to put another die here, I need to spend 2 experience points. And then I can upgrade, or I can grab a level 2 Daedric Summoning dice. And then for 2 more experience points, I can grab a level 3. And then eventually I can get to a level 4 and have all those dice going across. The requirement for how you get the extra level dice is you need to at least have 1 die of the current level or lower. So I can't just buy a level 4 dice, from the start. I have to go in order. And yeah, the experience point requirements are up here, and these are your experience points. And you can at most save 3 of them. If you ever get over 3, you have to spend them like at the time when you go over, right? You get to spend them right away. And you have to at least get to 3 or less or you lose them. And you can always spend experience points to move up tenacity, which is just a temporary thing. So you don't really want to waste them on that. But if you have to, you can. And then lastly, when you're down here, it costs experience points to move up on this as well. And this is 6 experience points. That is correct. So you can only ever store 3. So you have to have 3 surplus to be able to get to that. That's a tall order. But anyways, when you're creating a character, that's what I came up with. I don't know if this is any good. We're going to find out. It's my first game. I thought it was pretty cool. I do like summoning classes and like Gloomhaven or other games. So it suits my style. And I definitely chose the High Elf. My other debate was there was 2 things I was debating. There's a knight something class, Night Warden, Night Blade. That's what it was. So it's a magic class. See, it's a magic class, except it has a lot of bonuses with stealth. So you would have to use stealth really heavily with your character. And we happen to have these wood elves that are really high. They actually start the battle with, once per battle, you can apply stealth status die to 2 party members, which really gives big boosts to that class. But see, it only starts with 1 magicka. So I think it would be fun to try, but I want to be a little more experienced with the game before I do that. Because I do think the wood elf would pair really well with that class. But with you only starting with 1 magicka, that means you can only roll 1 die at a time. I don't know if that's a hindrance or not. So I didn't go with that. I went with this. And then my other option was to go a healer class. I do see a lot of value in having a healer class. but I chose not to, and we'll see how it plays out. All right. So, anyways, that's how you set up one character, and then basically, what happens is this. Really, it's part of this, or you can just store it anywhere that you have room, and then this is supposed to go to the left of your character, and then when you spend dice and they're consumed or whatever, they can go on here. Like you can put temporary effects or temporary health points on this. So that's the idea. Now they also have this. This is meant to be a reference card. So this is just here for your reference. And then of course this is really also a reference, because what you do is you get this ability at the top, this here. You start off as a novice. I have to beat a level 10 or 20 enemy or quest unit with either the Feral Guardian or the Diving Cliff Racer, which is one of my summon units. And then these are just how I can spend my points. So both of these are sort of like reference. And then what I did was I already grabbed the 2 chips that go with this class. Okay, so what I have here is I'm going to put this here. And the idea is you can put, this to the left, right, like so. And then their inventory would go on the right. And they can have 4 things equipped at a time, and they can carry up to 8. So my game plan, though, is I think I'm going to put like this one underneath, like this. And then that allows me to keep my stuff closer so I'm not reaching all the way across the table. And then I'll have stuff over here for them. I don't know. I'll figure it out as I go. But anyways, one character is complete. And I'm going to go ahead and pause because I don't want to waste your time as you're watching me. Oh, and what am I considering for the other characters? Well, the Ledger Domain is really cool. It's about lockpicking and getting bonuses. But what I'm looking at right now is, well, there's several things. The Khajiit has a really cool ability that lets it automatically pick a lock for free. And then when it does, it moves up to 5 hexes. So it lets you go around the map and pick all the locks, which I think is a cool idea for like a rogue type character. And then I really like the Red Guard ability of, see, they have 3 combat dice. So they can be really strong in a combat type of role. But the cooldown of 1 is a little intimidating. The Nord has a cool ability. Once per battle, when performing an engage, which is an attack, you get to add an enemy combat die to your engage, so that boosts your attack. And you get to add an enemy combat die for each weapon in your inventory. So whether or not you're using the weapon doesn't matter. It just needs to be there. And so that means you can add up to 4 more dice if you had all weapons equipped. And so basically it's just a massive attack. It's only once per combat, but like if you're against a boss or something, that could be fantastic. And you can see also she comes with 3 combat dice. In these cases, they would use stamina, right? So she's only able to roll 2 dice at the start, but so I'm definitely looking at that one as well. The Argonian is just a solid one. Once per battle, you could just prevent all damage. I mean, that just seems like really nice. But the other reason I have this one chosen is, it does have 5 health. It really is, it's for the ability is what I'm considering. The Wood Elf has the stealth. So I'm wondering if this is possibly a rogue type character. And also has 3 stamina. Oh, that's why the 3 stamina is the most you can start with. And so here's another one with 3 stamina. And the stealth tokens basically mean that unless they started their turn next to you, they can't target you. So that's a pretty cool ability. And then the other one I'm considering is the Bretons. And this one's a little more complicated, but they have 5 health. The 3 magicka is a little, I don't know. It's interesting because basically it's a magical oriented character the most. And by the way, if you choose to make a stamina character, you can also choose to make the magicka go away because you want to make room on your row. So you can actually cause these skills to disappear. That's part of the thing you can do when you're managing your character It's just that if you ever want them back, they're not free. You got to earn them back. But if you know, like, this guy's going to be a barbarian type and never use any spells, you can get rid of the magicka. You don't get anything for it. It's just making space. So anyways, what's the deal with this one? It's the opportunist skill. So if you're using an item from your pack and you overtax it. Now, overtaxing is something I had to look up because that's a new concept. And let me see if I can grab an example for you here. Okay, so take this helmet. So after an enemy engages you, recover the leftmost die in your cooldown track. That's its normal ability. If I overtax it, I can heal for 2 hit points and apply a dazed status die to the enemy performing the engage. This enemy will not remove this status die this turn. Okay? So by overtaxing, if I do that, the item is destroyed. You discard it. It's out of the game. But this particular class, the Breton class, you can overtax it, and all it does is it goes into your inventory. And then for free, you can grab another item out of your inventory and put it in its place. Because remember, you only have 4 items equipped. So you lose the equipped status, but it just goes in your inventory. It doesn't get discarded. So you could use it again another day. It's just that you can't use it for the rest of the battle. It's a once per battle, right? Once you use it, it's out of the battle. So you can't use this other ability either. But the idea is if you have enough inventory going on, you can, okay, fine, it goes into your backpack, and then you just replace it with something else, and then that gets used. So the Breton allows you to use these purple abilities without ever having to lose the item. And that just seems to me like that could be really powerful if you have the right items in your inventory. So that's what has me paused on, like, okay, what do I do here? Because I was so convinced I was going to get a Redguard or a Nord. And then I looked at that ability on the Breton, and I'm like, holy crap, that's really good. So that's my debate right now, and I'm just trying to sort that out. Okay, so for my next magic trick, next character, I did create the Breton class, and I did something a little different. I chose to take advantage of this magicka, and I created a cleric. So I have a Restoring Light, and I forgot to grab the actual class. Bear with me. The actual class is Healer. And maybe that's a little overkill, right? Making all this stuff so, what do you call it? Like they sort of have synergies between them. But my only concern with this particular guy is he only has 1 combat. That's the only way he can damage anybody. These 2 starting skills don't damage anybody. So he might be a handicap at the beginning. But we're going to find out. And anyways, that is my next character. And I went with Restoring Light. So we got ourselves our cleric class. So the next 2, I need to focus on picking locks and doing massive damage. And I wanted a archer. And I'm maybe not going to get one. That's the problem I have. Although I think I may be able to make my lockpicker an archer. So I might still be okay. I can just make the lockpicker type person an archer. Yeah, and then I'm going to have to pick somebody who's going to do smash kill. Okay, then for my next character, I went with a Khajiit archer. And gave him the bow. So really original there, of course. But I thought that this would be a good damage dealer. And I chose the Khajiit over the Wood Elf. That was my biggest debate. An Orgonian would be nice as well. But I chose the Khajiit because it can do a lockpick for free. And I may not pick a rogue in this game. Just because I feel like I need another damage dealer. And to be honest, these rogue skills are soft skills, especially when you get into this. Like you take like acrobatics and speech, and like speech doesn't even do damage. Acrobatics doesn't do damage. It just lets you move across the map. there's hardly any rogue skills on here where you actually do damage. Like here's one. This is the shadow skill. And the shadow skill is also, like, it helps prevent damage, but it doesn't necessarily give you damage. Now, there's no rule that says you have to go all in and everything has to be a rogue. Like you have to take a rogue class with a rogue skill. At least not that of my knowledge. I mean, I could be wrong, but you could. I think you can take a rogue class and still have a weapon skill. So I could have taken a rogue class instead of the archer and still taken the bow, for example. I think that's highly, like, all allowed and all that jazz, but I just wanted to go all in on the soldier, and I felt like the archer whatchamacallit is just more powerful. And then of course this is where I'm getting into table space issues, and so I'm just going to put everything over here. I have two characters that are far away and hard to reach, and so I'm going to have to figure out something, and of course I got room here for something once I put everything away. So we'll see. I also have a chair I keep to my left, and I can put things on my chair. Right now I have all their save things. I could actually put their skills inside of here if I wanted to. I'm still debating on that part. Okay, then we got one more to go. Okay, so I got the last one up, and it looks like this. And this is a Nord, and I went with the one hand and shield. Oh, I gotta pick his class. I didn't do that yet. Hold on. What's his class gonna be? I mean, I could make him like a weird rogue class, I guess, because you can have a rogue with one hand and shield. But I think I'm gonna go with either the Knight or the Templar. Those would be the two. I guess there's a Dragon Knight as well. Oh, great question. I didn't pick this. So there's this Dragon Knight. Looks a little aggressive, has a bit of movement, and you could remove some fatigue from your character. You can roll combat dice and target an enemy. Before rolling dice for your engage, if you're using a weapon, your combat skill dice deal true damage. Like, that may not be bad. Another one is the Knight, which is similar. If there's only one enemy within 3 hexes of you, deal 3 damage to it. Remove a status die from your cooldown track and apply it to a non-quest enemy. So you get to... Ooh, I sort of like that one. After you defeat an enemy, heal for 4. Choose any enemy in play, and for the rest of the turn, each engage targeting that enemy deals 1 additional... I like the Knight. We're going to go with the Knight. The other option was the Templar, which it does a bit of healing. It's sort of like a Paladin, and since I already have the Cleric, I don't need that. So we'll go with the Knight. And then with the Knight, you have to complete 2 side quests with your party in a single session, which I think just means those are the acts I'm referring to. So I have a new system. We got the 2 characters here. I lowered my table, so we have another character here, and then my last character is going to be down here. And say hi to my puppy. And so we're going to put this all down here. It's a little low, but it at least gives me room to put things, so I'm not, mixing everything up. So, yeah. The only thing that I regret is I wanted to use a red guard somewhere, but I never figured out where. And that could just be done in another playthrough. We got a crap ton of skill dice all over the place, so I just need to set those aside because it's going to be a while before I use more of those. These black dice, like I said, are status dice. We're going to need those. These are combat dice, and then these are fatigue dice, with these darker ones being heavy fatigue. So we're going to need those. So I'm going to just shove all these things to the side. And I don't know what happened, but I had a bag for these, and I don't know where it went. It just so happens I have a million bags laying around my table though, so I found another one. All right. As far as the expansion goes, I did add the cards, but just understand that the expansion uses Valenwood, and so these monster tokens have the VW on them. There are some additional creatures that can, white tokens that can join you, and then of course there's skills, right? That go, or dice that go with if you take one of the new skills. One of them is like the light armor skill, which I think is what the blue is. And then, of course, we have this, which are some additional monsters. And see, these are some of, like this one here is a, we can add it to our pool because it doesn't have a specific letters under it. I was just hesitant to, because if it adds a bunch of extra keywords I have to learn, I'm not a big fan, but I always love more variety. So I might get those added. And then last but not least, these are the skill tokens that we would need to add to the bag. There's the light armor. I think this is the Ledger Mandy. And then I think that's like Arcanum or something. Those are the 3 extra skills that were added to the game because of the expansion. And so, yes, all these skill tokens go into the bag. So when you go to a trainer, you're going to pull out tokens that belong to the different, they're called constellations, but really it's just, I keep calling them guilds, and I'm going to be mislabeling them when I do. But these go in there, and then when you go to a town, you could possibly learn those new skills at the town. That's the gist. Okay. Last thing we got to do before we get started, and I know we're 27 minutes in, and the playthrough hasn't started yet, I apologize, is we got to pick our quest from the Black Marsh. And I had told you we're going to take a level 1 complexity. I'm not going to mess around and try to do something, like I'm not going to draw 3 cards and just, but actually let's try it and see if I get a level 1 complexity from it. So shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. And I'm going to grab the cards from the bottom since I can see the top, right? The shuffling is not going very well. There we go. All right, so here we go. 1, 2, 3. So Mages Guild, Circle of Champions, and Undaunted. So if we go into our thing, we have Mages Guild right here, and that is a complexity of 1. So we already accomplished that. Got the Thieves Guild, the Fighters Guild, Dark Brotherhood. Undaunted is also a complexity of 1. And then we have Outer Watch, the Psychic Order, Eyes of the Queen, Circle of Champions, also level 1. So we basically got 3 level 1s that we drew. That was excellent. All right, so it says complete 3 clashes in 3 different towns with each clash escalating in difficulty. So those would be battles. This one, traverse the map to participate in a long delve, which can be shortened by making a stop in another city. This quest is intentionally simpler and can be used as an introduction to the game. Ooh, we might want to do that one, just because it's meant to be an introduction to the game. Then the Mages Guild one, chase down 3 different packs of beasts fighting a clash against each. I think they're all cool, but let's do the simple one. We'll do the Curators of Chaos. So we're going to do the Undaunted. So if we take this one, well, actually, we get to choose, so for your Guild Kiosk Town action, discard all items in a shop and refill it with new items equal to the shop's values, then gain 1 item from the new selection. So it's an action that you can do in the town. And then, what are the other ones? For your Guild Kiosk Town action, search the item deck, gain the first weapon or armor, then shuffle the deck. See, now this would be helpful because I actually have some classes that need weapons and armor. My Breton. Then for your guild kiosk, discard 1 potion or magic item to train any Magicka type skill line from the trainer bag. I would say that the Circle of Champions is the one I want the most. Although this one's not horrible. We're going to do a Circle of Champions. So Swamp Storming. So we have to complete 3 clashes in 3 different towns with each clash escalating in difficulty. And so there you have it. This is our guild. We just need to keep this somewhere. I'm going to just put it right over here inside of this tray. And our starting location is Leawin. And so I don't know where all these towns are, but here's Littlemouth. Leawin is got a weird spelling. Here it is, right over here. So the Black Marsh has that, and so you just take this circle, and that's where we're located, right there. So we're in this town to start, and you can see the different weathers, gauges, things. So we have to travel to Deadwater Village, Root Whisper Village, and Percolating Mire, or Stormhold, and initiate the following clash recommended by day 4. In the following quest steps, you will be required to complete clashes in multiple other towns in this list. Use your campaign journal to track which towns you have completed clashes in, and when deploying enemies, use as many, it says skull enemies as possible. The skull stands for something, I'm sure. And when completed, go to B40. So, I'm just looking at B40 real quick. Yeah, so this is the escalating, so we're going to do the A39 first. And so what we do is we take our card here, and we have to indicate some on page 23, we're doing A39, right? So I'm just writing where to go to look up the quest. So, I'm going to do, call that Quest A, right? Because we're going to have a Quest B and a C as well for this. Okay, and then we're ready to rock and roll. So, what do we do? That is actually, I think it's a little simpler. The combat is going to be where it gets complex again. But we have a player aid here. So where it says combat, if you flip this over, and I'm going to zoom it out a little bit. If you flip this over, there's your turn breakdown. So on the start of our turn, we would recover. And then we do actions in any order. We can move, engage. See, this is actually when you're in a combat thing. Here's a breakdown of all your different forms. So this is a light weapon adjacent, heavy weapon adjacent, etc., etc. This is not overland. This is for whenever we're actually in a mission. So that doesn't help me. But I do happen to have the overland rulebook up. And so let's start with this. Okay, first thing the rules say is we start on day 1, which we have. And I'm going to put this down here so it's a little more accessible. And so basically, if we go beyond 12 days, we're going to lose the campaign. And it's losing the entire campaign. Even though we could take 12 days to get to the next, session, which is like Act 2. And then we might get another 12 days. But if at any point we get to 12 days, we lose the whole thing. So that says we get to plan our movement. And so at the start of a phase, we get to trigger any effects that happen at the start of this phase, which right now is nothing. Another thing I forgot to point out is there's all these other tokens here. So this token is meant to represent your party and where it's at. Now we got that token there, which also more or less does the same thing. So it's a little redundant. Or you can even put it in the middle and just move it around. I don't know. I don't have a thought on that one. There's some tokens, like they all have like these arrows because they can be drawn randomly. But you have like, it's like these ones have like little book symbols, right? So there's 3 book symbols. There's 2, looks like flags with X's on them. And then there's, this one looks like a scroll, and those are two of those. So the book symbols are objective tokens. So those are places we need to go on the board. And so what I could do is, per the quest that we just read, is we can go, I can mark those so we know where we need to go to complete our objective. And then for the NPC tokens, which are these, that's for important NPCs on the map. And then and so it's interesting. So there's, it's trying to say that there's one of these is different than another, but I don't know. They look the same to me. They're calling it the counter token. It indicates the state of overland map tracks, such as Black Marsh's weather. And then this here is more ways to just track things on the map. So a little, the rulebook is not very helpful, actually, in explaining what those tokens do. But basically, you use them to indicate anything you like. So with that being said, I'm going to go to page 23 again. And so the cities, the first one is Deadwater Village. So I don't know how well you can see this map and see the towns that are on it. Obviously, with it zoomed out, that would be very hard. But like, I have no idea where Deadwater Village is. It would be nice if they had like coordinates, like A3, But I guess the map is not that big. All right, so I'm going to try to find Deadwater Village here. I still don't have it. Here. Right here is Deadwater Village. So I can put this here and just indicate like that's one of our places we need to go. Another one is called Root Whisper Village. And I found that one there. Then another one is Percolating Mire. Way up here. And then another one is Stormhold, and that's the final one. So I'm going to just use another one of these scrolls for Stormhold. Way up here at the top of the map. So it looks like we're going to have to do some scrambling. We're going to, if we come down here, we can hit 2 of them, but then we got to go all the way to the top for the final finale, if you will. So it recommends that we get to one of these within 4 days, which is not impossible, I don't think, but it looks like we're definitely going to have to scramble. But yes, that's what we need to do right now is figure out how to get there within 4 days. So, like I said, at the start of the overland, we trigger any effects, then we move our party, and every party, you get to move up to 3 spaces. And it can be modified by the weather. So on day 1, the party must remain at its starting location and resolve a town encounter. This does not apply during an in-game session. And then after you move your base movement, you're allowed to gain fatigue tokens to move each additional hex. So you can move beyond your regular movement, but you would then get fatigue tokens. And then we trigger some sort of encounter, and the type of encounter depends on where you stop. So this here is that's an unstable landmark. These, and so unstable landmark, we roll an unstable die, which, ooh, I saw that, and I don't have it in front of me. Where are you hiding? Where are you hiding, Mr. Unstable die? I think it's this. Yes, that's the unstable die. So depending on what we roll, that's going to determine what happens there. And so if we roll a town, it triggers a town encounter with a traveling caravan. If a choice icon on the back of the overland card is the unstable version of itself, with the icon appearing inside of a red circle, it's an unstable choice. Anyways, there's some things that will happen there, depending on what we roll. And then overland encounters are triggered when the party moves into a hex with a landmark. So in this case, the party must draw an overland card which describes, so the first kind is the eyeball, that's peaceful. The second kind is the crossed swords, that's a hostile, or they call it a conflict. So we're going to draw a conflict card. And remember, the peaceful card is the blue one. The conflict card is the red card next to it. And then the unstable one is, we roll the unstable die to see if we get a town. Because it is possible you're going to get a town. But then you're going to either get the red or the blue card, right? It depends on what you roll. And in all those cases, when you look at the card, so I'm going to look at the very back of this red deck. See, this is something where you can make a choice. You can do the top action, or you can strike a deal at the bottom, right? But if you're on a unstable die, you must choose the top action because it's red. I'm pretty sure that's the right understanding there. So, anyways, that's something to understand: is you can't take the peaceful option when you do that. All right, next. We can also stop on a town, which are these town symbols. And we're going to do in those towns exactly what we're going to do now. And so let's do it. So it's basically explaining here that on your first day, you do not set the dial during setup. So they set it to 1 now. Additionally, Black Marsh's province effect says that at the start of the first day in Black Marsh, the players must place an overland token on the sunny weather spot and the weather gauge at the edge of Black Marsh. So basically, you just take any one of these tokens, right? These little arrows, and we're going to put it on the sunny. So it shows that the weather's sunny. Adventurers must spend their first day starting in their starting town. So in this case of this example, they would stay in Lillimeth during its first overland phase, which triggers a town encounter that must be resolved. And so that's what's going to happen is, so we're not moving anywhere. We're just triggering a town encounter. And what this means is that we have sunny weather, which means we're going to be able to move our full 3 spaces. The rainy and flooding is going to reduce how much we can move. And so day 1, we're spending here. So that means we got to spend 2, 3, and 4 to hightail it to one of these locations if we want to get there by turn 4. So not a lot of dilly-dallying for us. Okay. So now next thing we're going to do is we're going to trigger a town action. And I'm pretty sure I know how to handle this based on my reading of the rules, but I do want to step through and make sure that I'm not missing anything. So here we go. First thing we got to do is we got to denote our name of our town, right? So the town here is called the Leyaben, which has a weird spelling, right? So the Leyaben town is the town we're going to do. And what we do is we take our Black Marsh book, and we have to find that town now. And there's an index in the beginning. So let me look up the index. And Leyaben is on page 12, according to that index. So I'm just trying to flip to it. All right, so we have this particular town. And then it says, there's some flavor text. No vacancy. If the weather is flooding, the inn is closed for the encounter. That's not the case. We're sunny. And then what you see here is there's 5 trainers available and all 3 types. So basically what we're going to do now is we're going to draw 5 tokens from this bag. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, like so. Okay. Now, understand that if you take one of these tokens, you're learning a new skill. If you already know the skill, it doesn't let you level up that skill. There's no such thing as taking it twice, because there are 2 of every token in the game. So it is possible. We're going to draw a skill we already have. We don't have any of these skills at the moment, so these are all brand new skills. But like I might want to take this one. I need to look up what this one is again. This is acrobatics. This is the legerdemacy. This is the new expansion one, I think Arcanum. And then this is two-handed weapons. And I don't remember that one. But whatever it is, it's a rogue stamina type skill. And, oh, it might be speech. Yeah, I think that might be speech. So, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. So that's one of the things we do to set up that. And just so you keep in the back of your mind, every character gets to do 2 actions in town. Just 2. And now there might be opportunities to do more than 2, depending on situations or events, but normally it's just 2. And so the first thing I did was I set up these skills. And so for one of the actions, you can take a skill, and then that skill becomes, you get the dice and you get everything when you take one of those skills, okay? The other thing you got to look at is there's a guild kiosk, which I'm pretty sure means that you can do the guild card skill. We'll look up that one. I don't remember that one. This one lets you do things with potions. I got to look up both of these because I don't remember them. This lets us grab a quest. So we're going to draw 3 cards from the quest board and, take a quest. Only one character has to do that. This is staying at the inn, which would let you recover, your dice and other things. The town square, the Great Chapel of Zenithar. Search the item deck for a weapon of your choice and set it aside. Then shuffle the deck. At the end of the town encounter, place the setup weapon face down on top of the deck. So you can get a weapon to go on top of the deck so that way you can get it later, I guess, in the game. I don't really like that town square ability at all. The town square requires all of your characters to take an action together. So that's even worse. So all 4 of us have to spend one of our actions to be able to put 1 card on top of the deck. That seems like a really stupid thing. Unless, I guess once you start playing and you have an idea in your head, hey, I want this particular weapon for my, I need the crossbow of charisma for my for my bard. I mean, it's possible because there's a weapon in that deck that's just tailor-made for what you want to do. Then you can do this, and I guess that's where it makes sense. But for me, I don't have a clue. So yeah, this is not an attractive thing. The other thing is we can also go to the market, and we're going to draw 4 common items and 2 legendary. And again, everybody gets to do an action, and one of those actions is they can take one of these items. And one of the skills I was looking at is there was a skill if you took the burglar where you get to rob the merchant, which I thought was pretty cool, but I ended up not taking it. So here we go. We got 1, 2, 3, and 4, right? So we have some cards that are going to be available for us here, like so. And then we're going to have 2 legendary cards, 1 and 2, like that. And wow, 2 shields. Let me make sure I shuffled that deck. I did not shuffle this deck. So let me redo it. Although I like those 2 items, it's literally sorted by type. And all the weapons were on top. And so that's not quite as good as you want it to be. All right, so I have the town encounters in front of me. So like it says, these encounters are described by the gazetteer, triggered when the party ends its overland movement. To resolve an encounter, refer to the town's entry in the gazetteer. Do any town effects. So we revealed the trainer and shop. That's what we're doing right now. If a trainer's constellation icon is faded out, set aside any skill that was drawn and keep redrawing, which all 3 of them are available. This is where we can complete side quests if we wanted. And then everybody can take up to 2 town actions. And I got to go to page 39 for what those are. So personal actions are actions individually and can be resolved simultaneously. Using a town feature is a personal action. You can spend multiple actions in the same town feature. A group action must be taken cooperatively and appear with the word group after their name. Oh, okay. So the Great Chapel of Zenithar is not a group action. I was mistaken. I watched a video and this was and I didn't realize that there was actually a symbol that would indicate that it's a group action. So you can do this individually. So everybody can go through the deck and put one of these on top. For each action, an adventurer can use one of the town's features. All right, yeah. So there you go. Now, what do each of these features do? We'll get to that in a second. So here's our first item. We got food, and it looks like a magic item. All right, moving on. So here we go. The inn. You're healed to your maximum hit points. You must remove all light fatigue, over fatigue, and status dice from the cooldown track, and recover all exhausted and drained skill dice. So another thing to bear in mind is, for example, this person has 4 health. So I should grab 4 health tokens and just put it underneath. So when she moves around, she's going to move around like this. So her face is going to be on the top and she has 4 health like that. But anyways, I can do that later. The guild kiosk. Okay, the quest board. I said you draw 3. You actually draw 2. And choose whether to accept one of them. The guild kiosk enables an adventurer to use their guild's unique town action. And that's this thing. The Battle Master. For your guild kiosk town action, search the item deck and gain the first one, and then shuffle the deck. So if you use the other action and put the thing on top that you wanted, then you can use this to get it. So it would cost you 2 actions, but you can get the exact weapon that you always wanted and dreamed of. So that's one thing you can do. The town square has the ability to describe there, and then the alchemy station. You can refresh an expended potion. Potions and other subtypes are described on page 29. So we don't have any potions, so we don't have to worry about that. But that's one of the things you can do is refresh an expended potion. Okay, so how do we want to do this? All these things are available to us. Like I was saying, we can go here, do an action to put a weapon on top of the deck. And then if I go here, I can then draw that weapon from the deck. So it would cost both my actions, but I can get the exact weapon I want in the game. That sounds like it might actually be decent. I just don't know. I don't know what I don't know. The deck of cards is humongous. So to go through all these and find a weapon that you think would be, I mean, there's still, like, for example, this short bow wouldn't be good for my archer, maybe. I mean, yeah, but, and then I got to be careful because even though, so like that's, so you're just looking for that symbol there, right? So we got all these items that we can grab. Now just understand though, I do damage even without these weapons. It's just that the weapon itself has an ability on it that gives you like some kind of enhanced feature. So, for example, my cleric really struggles to do damage because I have, well, I have nothing no dice that do damage. I have the combat dice, and that's it. So I can maybe get a weapon that helps me to do damage with my cleric. I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things where I'm at a little bit of a loss for what would be the best thing to do, but I think, and I'm just shuffling these cards. I'm sort of obsessed with shuffling these. I do think I have a plan in my head, and I'm gonna see if this works out. Okay, so for the cleric, one of the things I think I want to do is we're gonna grab this skill, if this is the speech skill, and you can verify it by just going through these, and we're just looking up here for the symbol and then doing it off camera because it's just a little quicker for me. So the first one is illusion, as you can see. That's this tile right here. We got illusion. And it's hard to read all this to you, but basically it says illusion dice are used in a number of ways. Each has specific rules. They're most often placed as status counters and effects on enemies, allies, empty hexes, etc. So they can help you, or they're like buffs and debuffs, if you think about it that way. All right, the next item here, I can tell you already, that's a two-handed weapon. So, yep, this speech. This one here is speech. And let me get them all out and then we'll talk about them. We got two-handed, and then we have, should be acrobatics. Yes, acrobatics. And then the last one is the ledger domain. All right. The speech is the one that I want to grab with the cleric. And here's what speech does. There's only level 1 dice. There's 3 of these, 2 of those, and 3 of those. Okay? This one, you roll the dice and you add up the numbers. And if those numbers are higher than the level of the enemy, you just flat out remove it from the map. So you basically intimidated it to leave. It's not considered defeated. So for purposes of, like if you defeat something, you get experience points or whatever, it doesn't count as defeated. But you can remove an enemy from the map. And you could do that like right at the start of the battle or whatever. It's pretty cool. Now, the other thing though, well, no. It doesn't look like you need to be in a specific stance to use it. The next one is Persuasive Will, and there's 2 of these. And once again, you roll and you add the numbers. And what this does is you choose an adjacent enemy with a level equal to or less than this, and that unit becomes a companion controlled by you. At the end of the round, it becomes an enemy again, so you only control it for 1 round. What I don't like about this one, you have to be next to them. So you have to choose an adjacent enemy. So you got to go up and get next to them and then try to get them to join your side. This one also has to be adjacent. I guess I was wrong. They both require adjacency. And then the last one is Authority, and there's 3 of these dice. Combine the values of all your dice. Any single adventurer may gain tenacity equal to or less than that value, and then reduce the tenacity gained by 1 for each hex of distance between you and them. So like if I roll a 5, I'm 2 spaces away, somebody can get 3 tenacity. So it's just a way to generate tenacity for people. What I think though is since the cleric doesn't have any attack dice, I thought about giving him speech, because then he can either make them go away, which it doesn't defeat an enemy, but it makes them go away. So you have 1 less enemy to fight. Or he can persuade them to join his side, and then they turn around and fight for you for 1 round. And during that round, I'm assuming they would also take damage, because they're going to act like they're your companion. And so for the length of the round, when the enemy takes their turn, they get to attack this creature. So not only are you attacking someone else, but they're also attacking the creature, and so you're causing a lot of mayhem and damage just through the power of your words. So that's where my thoughts were, as I was thinking about doing that. Because if I take speech, I can grab that. But here's the deal. I got to figure out, okay, well, where on my player board am I going to put that skill? Because now I'm going to have to put it on the right side, and it's going to have to go this way. And I don't want it to... I already have combat in one spot. I have, I'm probably going to have to put it where the hit points are. I don't know if I'll ever raise the hit points of the cleric that high. But that's my thought. And actually, I think I'm going to do that. Although, here's another one. Illusion would be good because the cleric is already a magicka class. So let's at least make sure that this... place this die in a hex in range. When an enemy would target you, you may place yourself in this die's hex, swapping positions. The targeting unit now determines its target again. I don't care for that at all. It's a teleport. Hit point chip in range. Enemies treat this die as an adventure. Treat it as an occupied hex. When its hit points is removed, exhaust the die. So basically it's an illusion that people attack. And that's it. That's level 1. And actually this is, when you roll it, there's 2 sides with this and there's 2 sides with that. So it's not like these are 2 separate dice. This is one die that, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of this, although I'm looking. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I'm going to take the speech. So we grab this. And then we take our guy, and I'm going to put it up here where the hit points are. And then we have to, obviously we get to keep this. And see how that has like the blue looking. So I got to decide, am I going to take Intimidating Presence, Persuasive Will, or Authority? That's the real question. I'm going through my skill dice. I think trying to find the right color. Okay. So here's the thing. See that blue color? That's the color of the dice. And then the face of the dice is either going to be the arm, looks like an eyeball on fire, or the meanie face. And so I'm being drawn to these blue ones, but I'm not seeing meanie face or eyeballs on fire. And then I'm going to this one, and I'm seeing blue, and I don't see any of those pictures either. So that means it's a different color than that. So, what am I missing here? I do not see eyeballs on fire, or arms, or meanie faces. This is the speech skill, so it should be in here. What is going on? I feel like I'm going mad. All right, well, let me... Oh, right here. So it's this green. Boy, I was really far off. There's the arm. So it's these green dice. There's the meanie face, and then the eyeball on fire. So I'm going to take the 2 eyeballs on fire, because I have no intention of leveling up this skill again to get more dice. Let me put the camera down. So we're going to get 2 dice, because you always get 2 when you start a skill. And since I only get 2, I'm going to take the only 2 there are of this type. And so this is the one where I will hypnotize them to fight for me for 1 round. Excuse me. All right, so that is speech. And that was one of the two actions for the cleric. So now I got to figure out, okay, what do I want to do? Do I want to figure out both my actions for the cleric, or do I want to wait? I don't have that figured out yet. I just know that the speech thing looked pretty enticing for his situation. So let's look at these. The start of a fatigue round. Oops, something fell. Okay, so I don't have to pick my other action for the priest yet. So maybe I'll just wait and decide what I'm going to do here. Now with the Breton, actually I do. I want, so for example, the Briton can use these items and can overtax, remember? And then that would end up going back in his inventory. So he does want one of these armor items. So add 1 enemy combat die to an enemy engage. After you engage, gain 1 tenacity for each damage the enemy dealt. So that means I'm adding another enemy combat die for them to hurt me. But I gain an extra tenacity for each damage dealt. So yeah, so I'm going to let him do more damage to me, but I gain a tenacity for it. And then I can overtax it and say, do not take any damage from this engage. That's actually awesome. So yeah, it's a once per combat thing, because remember, this has to go into the inventory and it's no longer equipped. But I can equip this, and basically for 1 round, I can let them, do whatever the heck they want to me. And, it just goes ping, ping right off my armor because I use the overtax ability. I really like that. So I'm going to take that for the Breton and equip it, which I know I got to do something about that, but I can scoot this over a little bit more. But basically, I'm going to go ahead and equip that. And yeah, so during a combat, that'll be a nice way to just take no damage for at least 1 round. So I'm okay with that. So his turn's done. So now we go to, okay, I got the summoner, the High Elf Warden. And I do have a Glyph of Shock here. So while in magic mode, the enchanted adventurer may change any of their rolled combat skill dice to 1, looks like damage before resolving them. So the problem I have is why would you roll combat dice while in magic mode? Because I don't think that was even possible. So you can't do magic mode. I know you can deal damage to your target. You can enchant an adventure. Well, I'm sorry, that's in ranged attack mode. So that's for bows. May change any of their rolled combat dice to 1 damage before resolving them. And then the 1 damage is here, see? And then the range. So it's not the magic. I was letting this fool me. Okay, so this is a great question. What do I want to do with this particular character? I can take this, because since I'm a summoner, I could also do, trickery. I just think that of all the magic skills, I would rather get something else besides that particular one. So then it's like, okay, well, I got to do 2 other things. What are those going to be? I can go and try to find a weapon and get one, right? That's still an option. What was my other choices here? Well, the inn doesn't do anything. The alchemy station doesn't do anything. Oh, we could get quests. So maybe that's what I'm going to do with this particular character, because none of these interest me except for maybe the food. May collect a total of 6 hit points, so you can heal. And then this one here, adventurers may collect a total of 4 dice from their cooldown track. So that may not be horrible. And then, of course, this stuff, nobody else has the ability to just do overtax. But this one would prevent an additional 3 damage, whereas this is reduce your tenacity by 1, to prevent 1 damage. So it's okay. So let me think about what am I going to do with these other guys. Well, for my archer, I am going to take the Ledgermancy skill. And it's a pretty cool skill. It's part of the Ledger domain. But basically, at level 1, I get Locksmith ×2. I can adjust any rolled lockpick die by 1 with the symbol. And it doesn't matter what I roll. Look, all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the 6 dice sides will let me adjust my lockpick die by 1. I know we haven't talked about lockpick dice, but if I'm lockpicking this, I get to roll 3 times Yahtzee style, right? And I have to get a 4, 3, and a 6. And I'm rolling exactly 3 dice. So at the end of the day, I got to get a 4, 3, and a 6. And if let's say I roll a 5, I can change that 5 to a 4 or a 6 if I'm willing to take a fatigue token. Or I can spend these dice and then do the same thing. So my archer is going to be my lockpicker. It's already a Khajiit, so it gets the lockpick once for free. And I thought maybe with the Ledger domain, I can do a little bit more. And then here at level 2, I can get Finder's Keepers. And I can flip a roll die to the opposite side. It all depends on what I roll here. When I'm making a lockpick attempt, I can modify any roll die by 2. And it's all lockpicking skills. And then over here at level 3, I can gain an item from the shop. During a town encounter, I can roll dice. Can gain a legendary item from the shop. You can gain 2 tenacity, and this one I would gain a light fatigue. So, and then lastly at level 4, I can gain an additional town action. So I don't know. I mean, is it that great? I guess not. Like, what else would I get? Like, none of these items, I mean, maybe the food items are at least a little bit helpful. I mean, they're just one-time use. If I do get this skill, I just feel like my bow skills are going to be used exclusively as bow skills. Like, I don't see myself getting like another weapon skill. I would get a utility skill like this one that lets this person be the one that does good at lockpicking. So yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to grab that skill and I'm going to put it up here with the hit points just like I did with the other one. And then we have another skill added to the bow skill. And again, it's the bright yellow. But these ones are going to be easier to find because this one was an expansion pack item. And so the bright yellow, I got to flip it over to the level 1 side, are these. And here's 1, and there's 2. 2 level 1 dice. And then I slide them in like so, and that does prevent me, like if I start leveling this up, I'm going to keep encroaching on my hit points. But I figure if I'm an archer, I don't need hit points as much. So there you go. I got 1 for the archer. And then for item number 2, I will take the I'll take the dice refresh one and equip that. Okay, I'm pretty sure I don't want the acrobatics or the illusion or the two-handed. I mean, maybe acrobatics would be a nice touch with a sword and shield guy because it would let me run into combat. But I'm not so sure I need that so much. So with the knight, if the party gains a side quest, I can heal to full hit points or gain 3 tenacity. So getting a side quest would be nice. I could take this item and then just give it to the Briton, just because he needs as many of these as he can get. So what do we got? We got 2 actions with our summoner, we got the archers done, and then we have 2 actions with our knight. So if I did this with one of my guys, I can then trade the item over. It's done between days, like during the adventure's rest phase, but I can trade it over, and then now I have 2 overtax items for my Briton. I'm going to do that. I'm going to just go ahead and give that to him, and then I'm not taking any of these skills, so I'm going to throw those back in the bag, and then put these back on the thing. And then I am very likely not going to take these either. So I'm going to go ahead and give these back, although these are the 2 legendary items. They just don't feel very legendary to me. I guess this one really does heal 6 hit points worth of stuff. Well, actually, you get 6 bonus hit points, so it's not healing. Oh, I probably will take that. I'm going to take that with the summoner. So that's one of the summoner actions. So the knight has 1 action, and the summoner has 1 action. And we're going to grab 2 quests. So I'm going to go ahead and put these cards back. And then here's our quest. We're going to shuffle these, make sure we got them shuffled here. And so basically I'm taking 2 cards and choosing 1. And because of the knight's special ability, he gains 3 tenacity. So I'm going to give him 1, 2, 3 tenacity. And here you can see this is an enemy one. Remove a status at the start of a turn. It's combat interrupt. Discard a party's side quest, then deal 10 damage to an adjacent non-quest enemy. So just having a side quest can let me do 10 damage to somebody. So we're going to be getting 2 quests, not just 1. So I'm going to be leveling up his tenacity all the way to level 5. So he's fully tenacious. There's nothing else to heal, nothing else to do. So we're going to go ahead and let's do the first one here. So this is the first one, and then this is the second one. And we got to do them one at a time. So for the first one, we have... Oh gosh, there's a lot of reading. During each of your battles, after enemies are deployed, flip all level 1 bandit enemies to 5, Marauder side, and adjust their hit points to the new health stat. After a Marauder is defeated, place it on this card instead of the defeated enemy stack. During your next town encounter in which 5 or more Marauders are on this card, complete this quest. Each adventurer may take a free shop action if the town has a shop. Gain 1 experience during the day's reward phase, and keyword Underworld Disarray. If you're on a Thieves Guild quest, you also pocket the goods the Marauders had on them. Draw 1 for each Marauder on this card. We're not on the Thieves Guild, unfortunately. So I don't know what having that keyword would do, but that's tough to fight level 5s at our current level. This one, if it is currently session 1, the fan realizes he has mistaken you for someone important. Discard this quest and draw a new one. That is funny. Okay, here's the new one. Place the 2 enemies specific to the current province of the following level on this card. So we're doing level 20. At the start of each non-quest clash, add 1 of these enemies to the EP and deploy it last. If it's currently session 2, blah, blah, blah. If it is undefeated at the end of the battle, place it back on this card. Once both enemies on this card have been defeated, complete this quest. During that day's reward phase, gain 1 experience, and each adventurer may draw 2 items, choosing 1 to gain and discard 1. If an encounter specifically calls for an enemy on this card, it is used as normal. However, it does not progress towards this quest. So I'm at 4 players, so I have to play 2 enemies specific to BM at level 20? That's a tough quest to start the game with. You only get 1 experience point? I mean, boo-hoo. Football level 1 bandit enemies to 5. You need to have 5 or more marauders on this card to complete this quest. So I gotta, well, level 5 is better than level 20. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that one, although I think that's gonna be really tough. Okay, and then here's the next one. Another day, another Daedra. After initiating an encounter on an unstable landmark, but before the day's reward phase, each adventurer draws enemies from the 10-20 bag until they draw one of those. It's called a Daedra, by the way. If both sides of the enemy chip have Daedra enemies, the adventurer may choose which to use. They gain light fatigue equal to the enemy's combat stat and tenacity equal to the enemy's defense, and return all drawn enemies to the bag. After each adventurer has done this, complete the quest and gain 1 experience point. Skip the day's adventurer's rest step. Ooh, so it's sort of like they're going to get a lot of fatigue, but that's it. If you get a lot of fatigue, and then you're going to gain an experience point. It's doable. There were our casualties. Stack a hit point chips equal to players times 2. Place it on this card. During an end of day phase, when you're occupying in a peaceful landmark, each adventurer may remove 1 hit point from this card by discarding 1 item or skipping their adventurer's rest step. After the final chip is removed, complete this quest. Each adventurer may gain 5 tenacity, and you may draw 2 side quests, and you may choose 1 to accept. If you are in Valenwood, you also gain the keyword resistance. If you're on an Outer Watch quest, I'm going to do the other one. So there you go. And that brings us to the end of our day. So yes, the town items are very peaceful, and this is where you shop and do your level up stuff and things like that. And then I'm just looking real quick. So we're going to do end of day now. And it's divided into 2 parts. So provinces have province effects that are resolved at the end of day. You can learn more about these by checking in your gazetteer. So I'm going to get out the Black Marsh one. At the beginning of the Black Marsh, this is all the overland mechanics. So, when it's sunny, you get to move 4 hexes towards your destination. When it's rainy, you move 3. Flooding, you move 1. Known for its ever-changing weather, when triggering the Activate Province Effect step, move the token to indicate the weather dictated by the overland icon drawn. And then during the overland phase, consult the weather condition as it affects your base overland movement. Current weather may also affect counters, etc. So what it's telling me to do is to, at the start of each session, place a token on the sunny weather space. So when there's an overland icon drawn, we're going to use the symbol that's on the overland icon to determine what the weather is. So it's going to be sunny for tomorrow. But then at the end of every night, we're going to, at the start, so we're going to move and we're going to trigger some kind of icon. Doesn't matter which one. We're going to draw like one of those red or blue or delve cards, and we're going to see one of these symbols. And that's going to determine the weather for the next day. So that's what the end of and then and on the overland phase. So I don't understand why this says move tokens 4 hexes towards their destination. Oh, that's in case you have NPC tokens. I see. This is this is our movement here. It's 3, 2, and 2, which is what I thought it was. Then your native skills. When this unit determines a target, the Storm Seer. And then there's a delve feature. Do not shuffle in the deck, but make it accessible. Another delve card may instruct you to use it. So my apologies. I'm learning as I play, and I apologize if it's a little slow for some of you. I want to make sure I don't get it wrong. When I read the rule book, it's very straightforward, and it seems like, yeah, that's how it would work. But what I don't have is I don't have a step-by-step. Here's a breakdown of what you do at the start of the day to the end of the day, and that's making me squeamish. Like I really wish that it existed. And like if I look on the back of the Gazetteers or any of these books, it's not there. And that's like a lost opportunity, because the back of every rule book should have something like that on it. And we do have like this player reference, right? These are all skills, but there's nothing on here about what happens during a day. So again, I just I have to open the rule book and go through that step by step, and that's slowing me down a lot. Even if I read the rule book, I just like the reminder that, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do next. Anyways, that's it for the first day. Starting tomorrow, we're going to get to move 3 spaces. And when you look at the situation here, 3 spaces from here is 1, 2, 3. We can get right to this, I call it a chaos. I don't remember what it is, but we can do one of those. And then, that would be day 2. Then on day 3, we can get somewhere in here. And then by day 4, we can get to our first token. So we can actually get here by day 4 like they ask us to. And then this might help us get some experience points. And we might get some experience points again here. But it's going to be rough because this could potentially be 3 battles in a row. And then we have our quest cards, which have some pretty nasty battles on them. What I don't know is, like with this quest card where it says during each of your battles, flip the tokens. Can I choose not to flip them because I'm not ready for them? I don't know. So anyways, I'm going to end it here, and we will continue the rest of this tomorrow. This rulebook is nowhere near as good as Iridia. The Iridia rulebook was fantastic, and it spoiled me so much. And this rulebook is chaos compared to that one, although it's very well done compared to Too Many Bones. So anyways, I like it so far. It's got a lot of abstractness and weirdness to it, and I think that's the way a lot of chip theory games are. But once you get the swing of it, then it's like, oh, okay, it makes sense. But anyways, thanks for watching, and as always, stay awesome.